Yo, what's going on, everybody? So I'm giving you guys a review for One Piece chapter 832. And I gotta say, as soon as I got to the ending and Sanji's father says, I'm getting so tired of your disrespectful mouth. Men speak with their fists. Bring your ass outside. When I got to that point, I was so pissed off that the chapter ended that way. I was so disappointed the chapter ended that way. But part of me was also going, damn, man, I totally relate to Sanji. I totally relate to him because I got that relationship with my father. We don't get along. I've told you guys before, my father chose drugs over me. He chose drugs and eventually another family over myself and my mother. So when I see stuff like that, I totally get where Sanji's coming from, because I don't want to associate with that part of my family. Essentially they're dead to me. And so when you look at what Sanji's saying and you just see how Sanji has doubled down on it, I get it, because when you're that consumed with anger, when you've worked so hard to differentiate yourself from expectations that people have of you, from family expectations, from everything that you have worked so hard to leave in the past, to have it brought back into your face like that, I totally get it. I totally get where Sanji's coming from. But the other part of me, when Sanji's father is talking to him, was going, damn, I totally get where he's coming from. And I wish Naruto would do that with Boruto every now and then in the Boruto anime, where Naruto's just listens to his son be disrespectful and Naruto just takes him outside and smacks the fuck out of him. I was hoping for something like that. I was really hoping for something like that. But I'm glad that Sanji's father kind of took this stance. Now, I gotta say, I did like the bit of exposition we got as far as learning more about what Sanji's family's about how way back in the day they took down the 4 kings of the North Blue. I thought that was awesome. I understand the whole thing with family pride and family lineage. It's very ironic for me, because as I read this, one of the things that really stands out to me on that is it's one of those moments where I can relate to Sanji in that again, because my family in a specific part of the South, I'm not gonna say which part, because I'm keeping my personal life for the most part on the wraps, but in a certain part of the South, my family name, we go back to the 1800s. In a particular city that's in the South, we owned a whole lot of land. Just my great grandfather had 60 acres of land in his name, and I come from a very, very prestigious family line when you look at it from that perspective. Land is wealth. And when you look at that, and just one other little small thing, like, the family I come from, one of the cousins on that line, on that bloodline, actually ended up being one of the people who founded my hometown. So I say that to say, I get where Sanji's coming from when he says, I don't want to be defined by that, I want to leave. For me, I know damn well I'm never going to measure up to some of the stuff that my own family has for expectations for me. So first chance I got to leave the city, it's one of the things that I strongly consider doing, it for a period of time I did leave. So moving on to Sanji though, because I don't want to make this about me, because you guys know, like, if it's something that personally resonates with me, I will talk about it. But what I like about Sanji is how even when he's presented with the fact that he's got all these handmaidens, they're super beautiful, they're basically at his beck and call, Sanji at the end of the day puts his perversion to the side and says, that's not good enough. Like, I'm getting married to pudding. This isn't something I want. I told you guys, I believe he said 13 years ago, I was done with you all. And even his sister is looking at him and she's basically saying, like, look, I don't understand where all this hostility is coming from. It's in human nature, and I'm paraphrasing what she said, but she's basically saying it's in human nature to want to conquest and spread your seeds and want to establish your family dominance and establish your own personal dominance on the world at large. And for Sanji to basically throw that away, I have respect for it, because that is one of the most alpha things that you can do. So when you look at it, Sanji, if he would have stayed there and just went along with expectations, that's the most beta male thing he could have did. Sanji choosing to join with Zeph's crew and then joining Luffy's crew, even though he was serving under other people, it was his decision. That's some alpha male shit. You guys have heard me say all the time that all the members of the Straw Hats could run their own crew if they wanted to. So this was one of those times where you have to applaud the stand that Sanji's making. I like how when Sanji's father asked, like, what happened to your brother, Sanji's just so quick to say, I guess I was just better than him. Like, it's one of those times where when you look at Sanji, this dude is just pushing the buttons, and he's got that line in the sand drawn, and he's not willing to back down. And what's so fascinating about that is Sanji is in no position to make any demands out of anybody. So I like that part of the chapter that really dealt with Sanji. Now I gotta say, when it comes to the Nami and Luffy team, I thought that was interesting that Nami was coming up with all these breakdowns of the situation she's in. Like, she, after running around the Seducing Woods for a really long time, Nami comes to the conclusion that, okay, this isn't right. We should have already gotten back to the coast. And it's one of those times that they actually learn that they've been tricked, and then Nami realizes that the very ground that they're on, the flowers, the trees, everything has been playing a trick on them. Those are actual beings, and they're getting chased around by one of Big Mom's people. So I thought that was cool that we're already seeing those fights right there. And Nami gets tricked. She gets tricked into thinking that the version of Luffy that's running with her is actually Luffy. And if you look really closely at the panel, if you look very closely when the two Luffys are splitting up, it almost felt as if you were watching a different version of Luffy run away with them. And what I mean by that is when you see the two Luffys fighting and you see the one that is running behind them, you don't see the scar on the cheek of the one that's running. You don't see that scar there, but you do see the scar on the version of Luffy that is saying, wait guys, that's not me, and his mouth ends up shutting up. Like, I thought that was interesting, and again, that might have been Etro Oda just, you know, pointing out little small differences to set up the whole plot twist at the end where Nami gets captured by Big Mom's daughter. I think it's Charlotte Brûlée. I'm gonna say the name wrong because obviously, you know, I'm reading the manga, so I've not watched the anime, so I don't even know if the anime's even covered this part yet. But I gotta say, I thought that this was pretty cool that they're meeting one of Big Mom's daughters. And what I find very interesting about that is, like, damn, Big Mom was giving that pussy to everybody. Who the fuck crawled up inside of her pussy and dropped a baby in her for her to produce some shit like this? You know, but I gotta say, man, you know, my chapter question to you guys is gonna be rather simple. How do you feel about Sanji forsaking his family legacy in order to come up with his own path? What are your personal thoughts on it? You know, obviously I feel some type of way because I can relate to it. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.